Hello, everybody. Welcome to our episode 1 of our podcast on the Montessori Monster. This is Jacob, and I just have a casual conversation here about the prepared environment. I come from this as a Montessorian, so I see things through that lens most of the time, but I'm hoping a lot of these ideas could apply to all classrooms, not just a Montessori classroom. Um, I do have notes in front of me, so if you see me looking down, that's why I want to make sure I stay on topic here. Um, so, what does that mean, a prepared environment? It basically just means that everything's very intentional. Your whole classroom is set up to be a certain way, that you don't just put things in there or clutter things up or guess, that everything has its place, everything is meant to be exactly where it's at. Now, none of us are perfect. I mean, I've been teaching 25 years, and every day I could walk into my classroom and see something that I feel like is out of place. But it's an intention, it's trying to get there. So, really, a prepared environment is something that can allow children to have better independence, usually better focus, and hopefully more joy in learning what they're learning about. Um, so, Maria Montessori talked about these topics 100 years ago or so, maybe more than that. Um, and so things were different, of course, if you read any of her books. Some of the references are outdated, but the overall themes definitely still work in a lot of ways. So generally, here's some tips. We've got some different areas to cover here. Generally, in a prepared environment classroom, you want to keep things clean, sort of calm, and uncluttered. You don't want children to feel like the teacher's being messy, things are piled up, the teacher's leaving things laying around all over the place. As a teacher or guide, depending on your title, you want to set a good example for that. So everything you do in the classroom, the children tend to pick up on. Even a lot of things, even when they're not at school at the moment. And this organization, sort of high-level organization, helps the child feel more calm, makes them feel more safe. A child doesn't learn as well unless they feel safe in an environment. So that's super important. A lot of the materials should be self-correcting, meaning if a child does something not quite right with the material or gets sort of the wrong answer on something or whatever, they can figure it out themselves pretty independently. It sort of points them in the direction of practicing that skill set again. There are clear ground rules about all of that, and of course all these kind of activities have to be sort of anchored in respect for one another and the environment. The guide is more of an observer. Our job is not to go around telling children what to do all the time and exactly how to do it and everything. Now, of course, we have to do that some. They're children, but a very well prepared environment is going to have it so that the children, maybe not the first couple weeks of the school year or something, but in general, that the children can function pretty independently. If they have to ask the teacher all the time for how to sharpen their pencil or where to get paper or where to get glue sticks or where the material's at, that's not really the children's doing. That is the teacher not being clear about the space. Sometimes as a teacher or as a guide, it's important that you step back and let children sort of struggle a little bit about how to do something. If they have to look around on the language shelf for a word study where, say, compound words or antonyms or something, and they don't know exactly where it's at, if they have to find it themselves, they'll probably remember it better where it's at for future times. If you find it for them, maybe not as well. So it's okay to let them, you don't want them to get super frustrated, but it's okay to let them have that challenge of finding things and doing things independently. There's so much to all this. There's also grace and courtesy, which basically just means respecting one another and sort of giving space and being gracious about sharing a space with a lot of different people. There are some pretty common misconceptions about Montessori education in the prepared classroom. Some people think, oh, look at those children. They're just doing whatever they want. For example, if somebody comes into a classroom or an observation room and they just observe for a couple minutes, that's what it might look like. It might look like children just wandering all around. Now, to be honest, there probably is some of that, but mostly the children should know what they're doing. So it's not a random, just the children can do whatever they want sort of situation. It's very thought out. Another misconception is that these ideas are only for the preschool. I teach first through third grades, and I've been in 9 to 12 classrooms, meaning fourth through sixth grade classrooms, in preschool classrooms, and it applies to all of them, and including non-Montessori classrooms too. So there's a lot to all of this, and this is a big part of setting up for a new school year when teachers are setting up the classroom. Non-teachers probably wonder, like, why do you need a couple weeks to set up a classroom? Like, what is there to do? You just put everything out, right? No, there's a lot more to it. So I'll say also, this is a good moment to say that a lot of these ideas apply to the at-home environment too. I know a lot of folks do Montessori at home or homeschooling or unschooling, and however you want to call it. Maybe you're not even thinking about schooling. It's just your home environment on a Saturday or whatever. You do want your children to be independent. It's not just about you as an adult getting more space or time or something. It's about the child feeling more and more confident that they're capable of doing anything. You want them to have that feeling of success. So the classroom is almost like, I don't know if this is a perfect analogy, but it's almost like another teacher or guide. If it's set up very carefully and thought out, it will help do the work of at least one teacher. But a lot of times, as the teacher, you need to observe that environment and really notice what is going on. Little things. Where are children getting too clumped together? Should you separate their cubbies further from one another? Should you separate where pencils can be gotten, or paper, or a geometry material? There's a lot of nuance to that. If you're teaching fractions and you put that right next to something else that maybe a whole other group of children need to use, like maybe it's by grade level, that can get a little crowded. A little bit of space, even just on a slightly different shelf or height or something, makes a big difference. Children feel more safe, they feel more comfortable, and they're more successful. I just like to really watch the flow, sort of the traffic flow of my classroom. I like to watch how children move, which parts of the day they clump together. For example, after recess is really crowded in the coat room. Probably a lot of you don't have coat rooms, but if you do, you might see that. Or coat hooks, or the bathroom could be very busy at a certain time. Well, there's a reason to spread out everybody getting in from recess or back from lunch or whatever your schedule dictates. Think about ways that you can spread people out and give more space to people. That helps the teachers, it helps the students, helps a lot of children with neurodivergence to have more like physical space, less noise. all sorts of reasons to do that. But you can kind of build it into your day so that it doesn't feel orchestrated, even though it is. And that's the kind of thing you can build up over time. Be very intentional about each part of your day and how people are moving. Yes, it's good for children to be flexible with their thinking. Yes, the teacher should be able to change the schedule if needed. But the backbone of the day and the movement should be a very known commodity, and children should feel safe in that. So just being really intentional. How do the desks face? Is the sunlight in some people's eyes at a certain part of the day? Is it cold by a door that opens to the outside? Do you have visitors in your classroom or admin in your classroom? Or grandparents at home and stuff that maybe can become a distraction at different times? How do you appease those other sort of independent parties? Being a good host, not being offensive to them, but still protect your children, your students, from distractions all the time. It's a lot to think about. So this is just, I'm kind of giving a quick overview. We're going to get into some more discussions about this over time. Let me know if this is interesting to you. Maybe these are all things that you've already thought about, but if it's helpful, please let me know. I appreciate it a lot, so that I know to keep going and keep sharing advice that I've gathered over the years. Okay, thank you so much for watching.